Hey everybody! I am really trying hard to practice being on live a few times here and there, as well as putting out my video tips for you and the blog. So here today, just to talk a little bit about what my subject is for the week, which is basically what are the rules, what are the kind of those unsaid rules under the surface that seem to be such pivotal parts of why we struggle. So here is how I approach that with clients. If you're struggling with something, first ask yourself, what's the rule that tells me I'm supposed to struggle here? What's the underlying premise that makes me know this is an area that I should be struggling in? Does that rule serve me? Okay, so it's kind of a two-part. Ask yourself the question, what's the underlying rule? And ask yourself, does that rule really serve me? So let me give you an example, just because it's of top of mind for me these days. I am a middle-aged mom of a 6-year-old, which can I just say is its own thing. Blah. It's its own thing. But my 6-year-old is actually a little girl. My first go at parenting was with a little boy, and parenting boys and girls in a genderized society just has its different flavors. One of which is that women fight an underlying rule of this idea that how we show up in the world is equal parts what we look like and what we do. So our successfulness is equal parts based on what we're looking like and what we're doing for the world. Is it enough for the world? And that's a struggle, right? Like self-image, body image, eating disorders are through the roof in Western culture. And there's a reason for that, for women especially. So as the mother of a 6-year-old, I'm really cognizant of that underlying rule and how I am parenting in a way that is reinforcing that rule, because I don't think that rule serves me. I don't think that I want to be as worried about how I look, what my size is, what my frame is. Am I doing my hair the way that I should be doing my hair and my makeup the way? I don't want to, that to me is not where my worth lies. It's where a lot of fun is. I like to do hair and like to do makeup and things, but it is not my worth. And so I don't want to communicate that underlying rule to my daughter, which then can translate to suffering for her. She'll get that rule in, tenfold in many other places in her life. So for me, how I try to show up differently when I know this doesn't serve me is I have to act accordingly. I have to act differently around her, so I'm communicating a different message, that my worth is not tied to how I look, which is tough. I'm not going to lie to you. Like when she's like, Mom, you have all that. It's so, you have a big tummy. And then I have to kind of reframe that as, of course I have a big tummy. I had 2 babies. And that's what happens to women's bodies when they have babies. And it's one of my proudest parts of my body, because it reminds me that I had you and your brother. And I want to go in the bathroom and be like, ugh, because all of my programming and conditioning has told me different. But I'm really trying to rewrite that narrative and rewrite the rule that's underneath. So Learn to Love Your Story, in the personal development course this week, we are really honing in on what are these underlying rules that shape how we think about ourselves and shape our worlds and shape our lives. And I'm just encouraging you to ask yourself those couple questions. If there's an area that you're struggling in, first ask yourself, what is the rule that tells me I should be struggling here? And then ask yourself, does that really serve me? Depending on those answers, you might be in a position to show up differently in your life. And if you want ideas for that, head on over to learntoloveyourstory.com, because I have tons and tons of advice on different ways to reframe your world and think about things differently and show up differently in your life. And I'd be happy to help you with those things. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your afternoon.